Alright, and welcome to today's lesson on fractions to decimals. So now let's go through and remember some things. Now remember that a fraction is a part of a whole, like 3/4. This is 3 parts of a whole. And also, a decimal is also a part of a whole. That you know that 0.5 or 5/10 is 5 parts of a whole. So it's the same thing. The only thing we're doing is looking at it different. So let's look at some examples. Now, we say that we have, right here we have these tenths. Now let's say that if I shade in so let's say that I shade in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so I shaded in 6, hold on. And now I shaded in 6/10. Now if I look at this again, and I'm talking about a decimal, then I can also say, or I shaded in 0.6 or 6/10. Both of these are the same. They take up both the same part of a whole. And so now let's look at another example of that. So right now we have this tenth grid that shows tenths and tenths, because both of these are both tenths. The only thing that's different is that we write this one as a fraction, and this one we write as a decimal. Now let's look at hundreds. The hundreds grid, that if I shade this in, if I shade this all the way down, and so I shaded in 10, 20, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I shaded in 35 hundredths, because that is the same thing that I shaded in 35 of 100 squares. Or I can say that I shaded in 35 hundredths, because again I shaded in 35 out of the 100 squares. Both of these are exactly the same, and both of these are, and these are two ways that we can write numbers. Either we can write it in decimal form, or we can write it as a fraction. And that is the end of our lesson on going from decimals to fractions.